Share screen. Oh. Oh, hello. Good to see you. People are coming. We'll wait a little bit for others to come. Another person. Great. I probably muted all of you, but I'm not. I don't know if you can turn on the audio by yourself, but hopefully you can. Just in case, if you want to ask questions. Yeah, we are still waiting. People are coming. Yeah, it's nice to see people coming together with their names. Normally it's more blurred. And we will start in a minute anyway. Yes, I tried to hide in a room, but my children are running everywhere, and probably sooner or later they will interrupt us. But anyway, we have a meeting scheduled like in 2 parts, and I hope I will squeeze myself within the first part, like for 40 minutes or something. I'm not sure if I will manage, but maybe. And then the second part, during the second part, there will be an opportunity to ask questions, to discuss things, because not everything is cleared for me, because for me, probably for us as well, for you as well. Because things that I wanted to share with you are based on, this knowledge was based on mostly on the research that I conducted for my PhD thesis. And this research was on the financial crisis, 2008. And right now we are in another crisis situation, and things look a little bit different in few aspects. And it's difficult to figure out how different they are, I guess. Anyway, the whole lecture was not supposed to fit that well to the realities we are right now. I hope you are doing well and you are surviving. You are not that stressed, maybe. I hope that you work and relax and read a lot and watch movies, things like that. Because right now, pandemia, for those who do not suffer, could be some kind of carnivalistic experience as well. So I'm not sure if any other people will come, but we will start right now. And I hope that this lecture will be recorded, and I'm going to share it. So if you will have any other questions or comments about the content, then we can discuss it in comments. And I will share it as well with other lecturers during this course, so our lectures will more or less maybe fit together. So, economics in society, and outline for today. Last time, I don't remember how long ago it was, but we'll come back to the things that we were discussing last time about relations, but very shortly, and then we'll discuss, or I will talk to you about working together, how it could be seen from the more social perspective. From the economic or management perspective, it could be seen differently, but these things you get during your studies, and I will kind of put some light on the more social aspects of this working together. And we will discuss how we can work together. There is some sort of topology we can do some divisions. We can divide things and see how differently we can work together, and still it will be considered as a process of sort of collaboration, cooperation, or coordination. And later on, we will see why we are working together, or is it only the money that are kind of forces us to work together? Maybe not, but hopefully not. But we will see how the world look like when money disappear. And then we will talk a little bit about two functions of money, like classical functions of money. One is the storing of value, and another is a medium of exchange. And we will see how we can remove one of these functions, and if it affects the way we coordinate, cooperate, or collaborate. That is, how we would work together if one of these functions will be kind of changed a little bit. And because of these functions, we will be more closer to the situation that we are right now. I mean, the post-pandemic financial or economic crisis, let's say. And the last part, we'll be doing things together in a degrowth economy. And this part, I elaborated, like, this part is more for questions and answers, because I can only provide some sort of pattern or sketch how we can look at it, and it will be more some sort of thinking experiment probably, and I hope that will be a place to discuss everything. And the last thing, it will be literature. I have one book of Charles Eisenstein that I borrowed a lot for this lecture. Another thing in the literature is my own paper. Unfortunately, it's in Polish, and the title is some kind of scary, but the content is more about the coordination, cooperation, and collaboration. So for those of you who are able to read Polish, please enjoy or comment to it as well, or throw it away. I mean, it's my paper, so it's like I'm interested about the feedback as well. And the second thing is just a blog entry from several years ago, and it happens that this division to coordination, cooperation, and collaboration was the best elaborated on a blog entry some years ago. So somehow it's very useful and surprising in a way that a blog entry can affect academic thinking as well. Maybe it's not surprising, but it shouldn't be surprising anyway. Okay, last time we discussed things like reciprocity, feudal relations, and baseline communism. it was all based on the David Graeber book Debt, the first 5,000 years. And what's important is that reciprocity relations, that things that we do because we exchange with each other, are relations that we are familiar with because we do shopping, or we would like to do some shopping right now. But basically, it's the relation between maybe aliens, people who do not care about each other. We just exchange and leave. We don't even need to know the name of the person. And this is some kind of neutral, or even it could be, there's a place for violence, or not violence, but let's say neutral experience. Feudal relations, that these are relations that we experience at work mostly, or most of us, in education as well, and in education, in upbringing children. We discussed some examples of relation between parents and children. Sometimes I would like these relations to be more feudal, but it means that the person who has the nature of exchange, sort of, is not an exchange, but people provide to each other according to their identity, more than, so these exchanges of contributions, let's say, don't need to be equal, and they are kind of they stick to identity of people. If you change your place in the hierarchy, then you contribute with something else. And the baseline communism relations were relations between friends, lovers, and what was the most important context at that time, and now is even more probably important. These relations are kind of springing during catastrophes, mostly natural catastrophes. So people share, people do something for others, and if it doesn't cost a lot, they don't count it, basically. So they invite people for coffee, they try to help others, and they don't want it to be remembered in a way, in an accountant. They don't want it to be maybe not remembered, but quantified. When we help others during the crisis or catastrophe, we don't want them to be indebted. Maybe it's in general, and a general thought, and on the individual level, it could look different, but this is some kind of this is theory, basically. And we'll come back to the social relations. That's why I wanted to come back a little bit to this. Okay, I hope it was clear. And doing things together. And we've mentioned last time that since we are humans, we are very good in working together. We are famous for making a huge impact on the planet, and we are not afraid of any predators, because we are the best predators, but not when we are alone, because alone we are kind of weak, let's say, but we have tools and others. Yes. And the important thing is how, because working together is a kind of mantra that we were supposed to work together, that things should be done together, and it's more it has more value when we work together because of the not symbiotic, but that's because of synergy. For example, the synergic experience was kind of is valued. The same in education. Teachers are teachers are told to support processes of working together or doing things together. We care about the group, how group is made, how groups are made, and but normally when we ask people what do they mean by working together, we get very weird answers. And in this part of lecture, I would like to base on your own experience, on your school experience or university experience or any other experience when you were working together with others, doing some kind of project or something, writing something together, how it looks like. And when we take a look, I try to move it somehow, but it's not a good idea. Anyway, it's even worse. Oh, now it's better. Let's move it a little bit. Yeah. So we have 3 pictures, and we will start with this one because this is this picture. Maybe it's not that clear, but I made them in order to make it more clearer because it's easier when we have some drawings, let's say. This is coordination. Coordination is the process when we do things together, but in a way that we divide the task into some into individual tasks, and we attach people or institutions to this single issues, and they work there with some autonomy, and we don't expect others to come and tell them how they should do their work. We only normally we expect that there will be, in this process of working together, that we expect that there will be some institution or a person who will be a coordinator. So the person who for example watch the time, because in order to perform this this task, the whole task, people need to contribute at the same time or fully contribute. I mean, they need to fill the space, the given space. I don't know if you have the same experience, but when I ask students at other departments, usually their experience is that whenever they have, not whenever, but in most cases when they need to do any project together, they do like this. They divide the task and they ask each person to contribute, and then there is a person who try to sew it together, to try to press it or change formatting or change some, like do some the person edits the document and make it more coherent, let's say. In economic life, this sort of working together we can watch during some, I don't know, let's say fairs, like when some companies show their product, or they try to attract you as attract new employees. They usually, there is one huge venue with separate tables or separate separate places where each company or institution presents itself, but in general, they are not in any interaction with each other. So even though the places, the space that they get is kind of similar, and everything has the same name, and maybe the names of the companies are written with the same name, the same way, or everything looks like a one huge event, but in fact it's divided on hundreds of places. The space is divided on small places where each one presents itself. I hope it's more clear. It's like you have this experience, or you've seen some things like that, and you are connecting this experience with yourself, with your experience. And what else we can do? Like the advantage of this sort of working together, let's say, is like in Polish we have one word, współpraca. And, it's more complicated in English, let's say. But the advantage is that in this way we can cover a huge range of, like we can do huge tasks. For example, if we organize any fairs or a meeting or a conference or something like that, we need huge places. And somehow it works because people do not interact with each other. And they do not interact with each other because it saves time. Because each person or each institution communicate only with the coordinator. And the coordinator coordinates, let's say, everybody, but they do not, because if they contact with each other and discuss things, then the number of the process of communication would be massive. Yes, so it saves time, but you need some experts in these places. Yes, if you divide the task on small tasks, you need a person who is able to provide, to fill this gap. And this is the issue, or often it's the reason why students or normally we have bad experiences with working together, because when we arrange coordination as a way of working together, it happens that not everybody has the same skills, or the skills that we are expected that they have, or they can't provide on time. So the result of this process is very often is some kind of a traumatic experience for many. And they say, many people say, especially coordinators who try to fill the gaps at the end, that they don't want to work together. But when you look at it, it's just an individual work. It's an individual work, but somehow glued together with others. And yeah, maybe it was much about the coordination, but it's interesting. The process of working together that I called, or it was called, cooperation, is less known, basically, maybe less experience in education. It's a shame, maybe, but there is lots of theory about cooperative learning, and this process we can experience when we try to, for example, write one document. When we share a document, when we try to write it together, and we don't divide tasks, so we just jump from one part of the document to another. When you write an article, or this is the things that I experience as a scientist. When I write with others, I just jump from one part to another, and we don't divide things. We try to be we try to be responsible for, we feel this responsibility for the whole process. And in economic life, you can experience this way of working in some sort of cooperatives. In Polish, we had cooperatives nowadays, but historically we have spółdzielnie, and this sort of companies, let's say, kind of they disappeared. And we don't discuss why, and but the interesting thing is that when you are, for example, abroad, do some visit some shops who are, for example, co-ops, or the more like it's good to visit shops where, for example, they have two prices. Like when you visit a grocery store or something like that, and you have two prices on each product. One price is for outsiders, and another is for insiders, for those who are working or contributing to the cooperatives, to the cooperative. And this contribution means that, for example, once a week, a member of the cooperative, or once a month, I don't know, it depends, somebody is coming, and it doesn't matter if this person has, I don't know, higher education or is unemployed or whatever. They have some tasks at this shop. For example, they need to spend 2 hours at this shop each week. And once the person is, I don't know, unpacking delivery, another time is mopping the floor, another time is standing in front of the cashier and or helping others, I don't know. But there are some tasks that need to be done in order to make this shop functioning. And they need to be divided on some sort of tasks, and these tasks must be so simple, or described or divided in some simple tasks, that any person could do this. So imagine that anyone could do this, and we need to remember that the quality of their work must be maybe not the same, but they need to think about the quality of this work. So we don't accept a quality which is like lower than we expected, and it's difficult. I do some research. I did some research on social movements, and you can experience this process of cooperation during some sort of, for example, university occupations, when students try to occupy faculties. Do some research in the internet. You could find very interesting movies and handbooks how to do this. But the interesting thing is that usually people divide functions that need to be, or tasks that need to be fulfilled at the university or in the building, like, for example, security, so watching who is coming, who is leaving, or I don't know, cleaning, or medical team, or what some sort of decision-making processes need to be fulfilled. I don't know. Somebody needs to provide food, or help, or provide psychological help for others. And usually, these movements who are most successful, they divide these tasks so each person could do something, or even should visit each places or each teams and provide and contribute a little, because they are afraid that if they will have some kind of specialization during the occupation, if you specialize, then you have some sort of autonomy and you could do some, you will have too much decisions in your hands, and at some point you could destroy the movement by using your power. For example, if you want to, usually when you have a social movement or a movement or occupation, you need somebody, a person who will provide news. Oh, running out of time. I'm so slow. We have less than 10 minutes. I need to speed up. So I hope you remember that we have another meeting and you had this link. So after some break, we'll come back to another meeting, but we have still less than 10 minutes. So let's finish with this cooperation, coordination, and collaboration. If you have a person who is like doing some reports for media, after some time, if this person is not changed, the person represents the movement, and media can ask the person or co-optate this person. So take this person as a whole movement, and the person who just represented the movement could work or could be seen as a leader, which is sometimes not the case, that not the case, or others didn't decide on that. The third way of working together is collaboration. Collaboration is a very interesting experience because this is very close to competition. So we have, for example, two people or two institutions who have different sort of they know different things. They have different competences, but they try to do something together. They want to do something together. In education, this sort of working together we can experience when we look at parents and grandparents, how they try to upbring the children. And usually there is lots of conflicts between grandparents and parents, because grandparents would like to, I don't know, bring more presents, and parents expect more presents instead of presents. There are lots of conflicts about discipline, not other things, but in general, they want the good for the child. In economic life, we can experience things like, we can, for example, arrange competition, or arrange something like building a petrol station by two people. One is an artist and another is an engineer. I'm sorry, engineers and artists, for using some sort of to simplify their attitudes to the work. But if we have an artist and engineer, I expect that they will think differently about petrol station. And at the end, we can't really expect what they produce at the end of the process. So, but we expect something unusual. We expect a breakthrough. We expect, but the condition needs to be that they are able to stand against each other. So it's more difficult when we have an older white man as an engineer and young women, for example, as an artist. So usually the level of power that they have could be different. So we need to arrange something or work with these people that we expect them to talk. We expect them to stop other person when they think the other person is doing some stupid things, for example. There need to be conflict within this collaboration, within this process of working together. So to make it more, to clarify maybe some issues, the coordination, it's a icon of a map. It's the space, the territory is mapped, and there are some borders, and as a result, we have some fields of expertise. We expect experts to come out of this process, or that people who will contribute will be experts. In cooperation, usually we have lots of bureaucracy, sometimes useful, but if we divide tasks to the general task to simple tasks, and then we need to simplify them and clarify them to people who do not have special education for, or any education, how to provide these tasks. Everything needs to be described very clearly. So like we try to avoid collisions and low performance, for example. So cooperation produces knowledge, actually, how and procedures. Yes? These things we expect, we also experience in institutions and in corporations, not in corporations, in institutions, let's say. And collaborations, I wanted to find the example of the scrambled eggs. I mean that we have some input, and at the end it's very difficult to find who really did what. For example, when we write one article, it's very difficult at the end to find any sentence which is actually mine, because when I wrote some sentence, who was changing the beginning of the sentence, and someone else has changed the end of the sentence, and at the end, you know, everybody produces something, but it's really difficult. We are proud because of the effect. We are tired usually, but the product is totally unpredicted, let's say. And now I have a quotation from the Charles Eisenstein work, how things look like, or how the work look like when money disappears in Command 5. And I will try to squeeze myself and use this time. I will read the whole sentence. When money evaporates, as it is doing in the current cycle of debt deflation, little changes right away in the physical world. Stacks of currency do not go up in flames. Factories do not blow up. Engines do not grind to a halt. Oil wells do not run dry. People's economic skills do not disappear. All of the materials and skills that are exchanged in human economy, upon which we rely for food, shelter, transportation, entertainment, and so on, still exist as before. What has disappeared is our capacity to coordinate our activities and focus our common efforts. We can still envision a new airport, but we can no longer build it. The magic talisman by which the pronouncement "an airport shall be built here" crystallizes into material reality has lost its power. Human hands, minds, and machinery retain all their capacities, yet we can no longer do what we once could do. The only thing that has changed is our perceptions, he said. Okay, and think about it for a moment, and we'll come back in 5 minutes to another meeting. Okay, so see you.